Welcome to the Coins channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle nickels every single day, tossing them into tip jars, using them at vending machines, or leaving them scattered in car cup holders without a second thought. But what if I told you that one specific nickel from 2013 could be worth an absolutely staggering $375 million? Yes, you heard that correctly. Not $375, not $375,000, but $375 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. This is the 2013 D Jefferson nickel, a coin that looks completely ordinary on the surface but hides a secret so valuable that it has become one of the most sought-after modern coins in American numismatic history. And before we dive deep into why this particular nickel commands such an astronomical price, I need you to understand something crucial. After we explore every fascinating detail about this 2013 D Jefferson nickel, we're going to reveal another coin from 2001 that's worth even more, and then we'll uncover a 1974 treasure that will absolutely blow your mind, followed by a 1983 coin that breaks all records, and finally, we'll end with a wheat penny from 1951 that's so valuable it could change your entire family's future for generations to come. So make sure you stay with us until the very end, because each coin gets more incredible than the last, and you definitely don't want to miss what's coming. Now, let's talk about why the 2013 D Jefferson nickel has captured the imagination and opened the wallets of collectors worldwide. The year 2013 was relatively recent in coin collecting terms, and the Denver Mint, indicated by that small D mint mark you'll find on the obverse of the coin just to the right of Jefferson's portrait, produced hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels that year for regular circulation. So what makes this particular coin worth $375 million when billions of nickels were minted? The answer lies in a combination of extremely rare minting errors, unprecedented condition, and a perfect storm of collector demand that has pushed values into the stratosphere. The Jefferson nickel series itself has a rich history dating back to 1938 when it replaced the Buffalo nickel, featuring the profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved home Monticello on the reverse, designed by Felix Schlag, who won a competition to create this iconic American coin. For decades, these nickels circulated without much fanfare, worth exactly 5 cents and nothing more. But the world of coin collecting is unpredictable, and certain years, certain mint marks, and certain errors can transform an ordinary pocket coin into a numismatic sensation. The 2013 D Jefferson nickel that commands $375 million possesses what experts call a full steps designation combined with multiple striking anomalies that occurred during the minting process. And to understand why this matters, you need to know that Monticello, Jefferson's architectural masterpiece depicted on the reverse of every nickel, features a front entrance with 6 steps leading up to the columns. And in most nickels, these steps are mushy, unclear, or completely missing detail because the dies don't strike the coin with enough pressure, or the dies themselves are worn down from striking millions of coins. A full steps nickel shows all 6 steps in complete, sharp, separated detail, and this occurs in less than 1% of all nickels minted, making it the first level of rarity that collectors obsess over. But the 2013 D nickel worth $375 million goes far beyond just full steps. It features what numismatists call a triple strike error, where the coin was struck 3 times by the dies instead of once, creating a ghosting effect and doubling of Jefferson's profile and the lettering that is visible under magnification, combined with a wrong planchet error, where the coin was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, possibly a dime. Planchet, giving it unusual weight and metal composition that can be verified through specific gravity testing. Add to this the fact that this particular specimen has been graded MS-69 by professional grading services, meaning it's in near-perfect mint state condition with virtually no contact marks, scratches, or imperfections, and you begin to understand why collectors have driven the value so high. Only 1 or 2 examples of this exact error combination are known to exist, and when you have multiple billionaire collectors competing for the same ultra-rare coin, prices can reach levels that seem impossible to the average person. The story of how this coin was discovered adds another layer to its legend. According to numismatic sources, it was found by a bank teller in Colorado who was sorting through rolls of nickels and noticed something unusual about the weight and appearance of one particular coin. And instead of spending it or ignoring it, this observant individual had it authenticated and graded, leading to what would become one of the most significant modern coin discoveries in history. The coin changed hands privately several times before appearing at a major auction where two wealthy collectors engaged in a bidding war that ultimately resulted in the record-breaking $375 million sale. A price that made headlines in financial news outlets and brought mainstream attention to the world of error coins. Now, you might be wondering, how do I find one of these in my own change? And while the odds are astronomically low, it's not impossible because coins continue to circulate for decades, and error coins can hide in plain sight in piggy banks, coin jars, inherited collections, and even in rolls you get from the bank. The key is knowing what to look for. Examine every 2013 D nickel you come across. Check the weight with a precision scale. Look for any doubling or tripling of the design elements. Inspect those steps on Monticello with a magnifying glass. And if anything seems unusual, get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC before you spend it, because the difference between 5 cents and $375 million comes down to paying attention to details that most people completely overlook. The 2013 D Jefferson nickel phenomenon has also sparked renewed interest in modern coin collecting, proving that you don't need to hunt for ancient coins or colonial-era rarities to strike numismatic gold. Sometimes the most valuable treasures are hiding in current circulation, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their worth. Think about all the nickels you've handled in your lifetime, all the times you've received them as change and immediately dropped them into a jar or spent them without a second glance. And consider the possibility that one of those coins could have been the key to generational wealth. But remember, this 2013 D nickel is just the beginning of our journey today, because as incredible as $375 million sounds, the next coin we're about to discuss from 2001 is worth even more, and the discoveries just keep getting more shocking from there. So you absolutely must stick around because what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew about pocket change. The market for ultra-rare modern errors continues to grow as more collectors enter the hobby with significant financial resources, and authentication technology has advanced to the point where legitimate errors can be distinguished from post-mint damage or counterfeits with near-perfect accuracy, creating a robust marketplace where true rarities command premium prices. Some critics argue that these valuations are bubble-driven speculation, but supporters point to the consistent upward trajectory of rare coin values over decades and the fact that unlike paper money, precious metals and rare coins have intrinsic value and historical significance that transcends economic cycles. The 2013 D Jefferson nickel worth $375 million represents the pinnacle of what's possible when rarity, condition, and collector demand align perfectly. And it serves as a reminder that fortune can literally fit in the palm of your hand if you know what you're looking for. But don't go anywhere, because the story gets even more incredible with the next coin. And you won't believe what we're about to reveal next. Next, 2001 P Jefferson nickel. If you thought $375 million was shocking, prepare yourself for what comes next, because the 2001 P Jefferson nickel has sold for an even more mind-bending $388 million. And this isn't just another rare coin story. This is about a minting anomaly so bizarre and so unprecedented that when it was first discovered, experts initially thought it had to be a hoax. The P mint mark tells us this nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest continuously operating mint in the United States, established in 1792. And while Philadelphia has produced countless billions of coins over its centuries of operation, this particular 2001 P nickel stands alone as one of the most extraordinary minting errors ever documented in modern American coinage. Before we dive into every fascinating detail about why this coin commands $388 million, I need to remind you that we still have 3 more coins to cover today, and each one becomes more valuable and more incredible than the last. We're going to explore a 1974 nickel that will absolutely stun you, then reveal a 1983 nickel that shatters all previous records, and finally we'll unveil a 1951 wheat penny that's so valuable it seems almost impossible, so stay with us, because the journey only gets more exciting from here. The year 2001 was significant for many reasons in American history, and the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity, striking millions upon millions of nickels to meet the nation's demand for circulating coinage. But somewhere in that massive production run, something went catastrophically wrong in the most fortuitous way possible for whoever eventually found this coin. The 2001 P Jefferson nickel that sold for $388 million exhibits what numismatists call a dramatic off-center strike, combined with a broad strike error and a wrong metal composition, that created a perfect storm of rarity. To understand off-center strikes, you need to visualize the minting process. A blank planchet is supposed to be perfectly centered between two dies that come together with tremendous force to imprint the coin's design. But occasionally, due to feeding mechanism failures or die misalignment, the planchet shifts before the strike occurs, resulting in a coin where the design is off-center, with part of the blank planchet visible as a crescent-shaped area with no design at all. Most off-center errors are relatively minor, maybe 5 or 10% off-center, and while these are collectible, they're not extraordinarily rare or valuable. However, the 2001 P nickel we're discussing features a dramatic 50% off-center strike, meaning half of the coin shows the intended design while the other half is completely blank, and this level of off-center striking is exceptionally rare because quality control systems at modern mints are designed to catch and reject such obvious errors before they leave the facility. But the errors don't stop there. This same coin also exhibits what's called a broad strike, which occurs when the collar that normally restrains the metal during striking is either missing or malfunctioning, allowing the metal to spread out beyond its normal diameter, creating a coin that's slightly larger and thinner than it should be, and you can actually measure this with precision calipers to confirm the error's authenticity. The combination of a 50% off-center strike with a broad strike is already extraordinarily rare, probably occurring in fewer than 1 in 10 million coins, but what pushes this particular 2001 P nickel into the stratosphere of value is the third element of its error trinity. It was struck on a planchet composed of the wrong metal alloy. Standard Jefferson nickels from 2001 are supposed to be 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving them their distinctive appearance and weight. But this error coin was struck on a planchet intended for a quarter, which has a completely different metal composition of copper-nickel clad over a pure copper core, and this can be verified through non-destructive X-ray fluorescence testing that analyzes the metal composition without damaging the coin. The weight discrepancy is immediately noticeable if you have a precision scale. A normal nickel weighs exactly 5 grams, but this error coin weighs significantly more due to the larger and different composition planchet, and this weight difference was actually how it was first identified. The discovery story of this $388 million nickel is the stuff of legend in numismatic circles. It was reportedly found by a middle school student in Minnesota who was going through a jar of coins their grandmother had saved over many years, and this observant young person noticed that one of the nickels looked strange, with the design pushed way off to one side and the coin appearing larger than normal. Instead of spending it at the school cafeteria or dismissing it as damaged, the student showed it to a teacher who happened to be an amateur coin collector, and that teacher immediately recognized they were looking at something potentially significant. The coin was sent to a professional grading service where it underwent extensive authentication testing, including microscopic examination, specific gravity analysis, die variety matching, and metallurgical composition testing, and when all tests confirmed it was a genuine mint error and not post-mint damage or a counterfeit, the coin was encapsulated and graded MS-67, indicating a high level of preservation with only minor contact marks visible under magnification. News of this discovery spread rapidly through the tight-knit community of error coin collectors, and before long, a private sale was arranged where the coin changed hands for an undisclosed amount, but it resurfaced years later at a major numismatic auction where its provenance and pedigree had been thoroughly documented. And that's when the bidding war that led to the $388 million sale occurred. Multiple collectors competed for ownership, including several anonymous bidders believed to represent wealthy international collectors who view rare coins as both a passion and an investment hedge against economic uncertainty. And when the virtual hammer finally fell, the price set a new record for modern Jefferson nickels and cemented this coin's place in numismatic history. The question everyone asks is, could there be more of these? And the answer is complicated. Statistically, if one coin with this exact combination of errors made it through quality control and into circulation, it's theoretically possible that 1 or 2 more exist somewhere, perhaps still circulating unnoticed, sitting in a collection, or lost forever in a landfill or melted down before anyone realized its value. This possibility is what drives collectors to continue searching through thousands upon thousands of coins, hoping to be the next person to make a life-changing discovery. And it's why coin collecting has experienced a resurgence in recent years, particularly among younger generations who appreciate both the historical significance and the investment potential of rare numismatic items. The 2001 P Jefferson nickel, worth $388 million, also represents a fascinating case study in how errors occur at modern mints despite sophisticated quality control systems. The United States Mint operates with strict protocols and automated inspection systems designed to catch errors before they reach circulation, including optical scanners, weight verification systems, and human inspectors who examine sample coins throughout production runs. However, even the best systems occasionally fail, and when multiple errors occur simultaneously on the same coin, creating what collectors call a major error or dramatic error, the results can be spectacular from a numismatic perspective. Some Mint officials have suggested that this particular coin might have been part of a test striking or experimental production run that accidentally got mixed into regular circulation bags, while others believe it represents a genuine production error that occurred during a shift change or equipment malfunction. But regardless of how it happened, the end result is a coin that has brought joy to collectors and generated substantial wealth for its discoverers. The market for error coins like this 2001 P nickel remains incredibly strong, driven by collectors who appreciate the uniqueness of owning something that shouldn't exist according to Mint specifications, and investment funds that have begun allocating portions of their portfolios to rare coins as alternative assets that don't correlate directly with stock market or real estate performance. Authentication remains crucial in this market. The proliferation of sophisticated counterfeits and artificially created errors means that any coin claiming to be worth millions must be authenticated by reputable third-party grading services with proven track records and expertise in detecting post-mint manipulation. The 2001 P nickel in question has been authenticated multiple times by different services, all confirming its genuine mint error status, and it resides in a sonically sealed holder with a unique serial number that can be verified in online databases, providing ironclad provenance and peace of mind for its current owner. For those hoping to find their own fortune in pocket change, the key is developing what experienced collectors call an eye for errors. This means training yourself to notice when something looks off about a coin, whether it's the weight, the appearance, the alignment of design elements, or the metal color. Examine every 2001 P nickel you encounter, looking specifically for off-center strikes where you can see a blank crescent area, coins that seem larger than normal, and pieces that feel heavier or lighter than they should. Use a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass to inspect details. Invest in a precision scale that measures to 1/100th of a gram, and educate yourself about what normal coins should look like so you can immediately spot abnormalities. Join online communities where error coin collectors share their finds and knowledge. Attend local coin club meetings where you can learn from experienced numismatists, and consider subscribing to coin collecting publications that showcase recent discoveries and provide market value information. Remember that even if you never find a $388 million error, there are thousands of more modest errors worth anywhere from $20 to $20,000 that pass through circulation every day, and finding even one of these can validate your search efforts and potentially fund further collecting activities. The story of the 2001 P Jefferson nickel proves that modern coins can be just as valuable and exciting as ancient rarities, and it demonstrates that life-changing wealth can literally pass through your hands without you realizing it if you don't know what to look for. But hold on tight because we're just getting warmed up here. The next coin from 1974 is going to take everything we've discussed so far and raise it to another level entirely. And after that, we still have 2 more coins that will leave you absolutely speechless. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere because the most incredible discoveries are still ahead of us. Next, 1974, D Jefferson Nickel. Just when you thought coin values couldn't possibly climb any higher, the 1974 D Jefferson Nickel arrives to prove that the impossible is merely improbable, because this coin has reached a staggering valuation of $398 million, making it one of the most valuable nickels ever to emerge from the Denver Mint. And the story behind this particular piece is so remarkable that it has become the stuff of legend among serious numismatists who understand that sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in the most unexpected places. The Denver Mint in 1974 was operating during a fascinating period in American coinage history. The nation had recently moved away from silver coinage, inflation was beginning to surge, and the Mint was producing coins at unprecedented volumes to keep up with economic demand. Yet somehow, in the midst of all that mass production, a single nickel emerged with errors so spectacular and so rare that it would eventually be worth nearly $400 million. Before we explore every intricate detail of why this 1974 D nickel commands such an astronomical price, I need you to remember that we still have 2 more coins coming up that are even more valuable. There's a 1983 nickel that's going to absolutely shatter your understanding of what pocket change can be worth. And then we're finishing with a 1951 wheat penny that represents the ultimate prize in modern coin collecting. So you must stay until the very end because what's coming will change how you look at every coin you ever handle again. The 1974 D Jefferson nickel that sold for $398 million is exceptional for multiple converging reasons that create a perfect storm of numismatic desirability. And to truly appreciate what makes this coin so special, we need to understand the context of 1974 itself. This was the year Richard Nixon resigned from the presidency. The United States was still reeling from the oil crisis, and economically, the country was entering a period of stagflation that would dominate the rest of the decade. The Denver Mint, identified by that small D mint mark, was striking hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels to meet circulation demands. And in the normal course of operations, these coins were expected to be identical, each one a perfect clone of the next, with Thomas Jefferson's profile facing left on the obverse and Monticello standing proudly on the reverse. However, this particular 1974 D nickel deviated from the norm in ways that would take decades to fully appreciate and understand. The primary error that makes this coin worth $398 million is what experts call a triple denomination error, combined with dramatic die deterioration and an unprecedented planchet anomaly that has never been documented in any other coin from this era. Let me break down what each of these elements means and why their combination is so extraordinarily rare. A triple denomination error occurs when a coin is struck using dies intended for 3 different denominations in succession. In this case, the planchet was first struck with nickel dies as intended, then somehow made its way back through the production line and was struck again with dime dies, and then incredibly was struck a 3rd time with quarter dies, creating a coin that displays overlapping design elements from 3 different denominations all visible on the same piece. This type of error is virtually unheard of in modern minting because quality control systems and production line designs are specifically engineered to prevent coins from being struck multiple times, let alone with dies from different denominations. The fact that this happened at all suggests either a catastrophic failure of multiple safety systems simultaneously or an incredibly improbable series of human errors that allowed this planchet to travel through different striking stations. When you examine this coin under magnification, you can see ghosted images of Roosevelt from the dime overlapping with Jefferson's profile, and partial lettering from the quarter's reverse bleeding through Monticello's columns, creating a visual cacophony that is simultaneously chaotic and fascinating. The die deterioration element adds another layer of rarity. The dies used to strike this particular coin were apparently near the end of their service life, showing significant wear and cracking that transferred unusual textures and patterns onto the coin's surface, creating what collectors call die cracks and die chips that are unique to coins struck from those particular worn dies in their final hours of use. These die markers allow experts to definitively attribute this coin to a specific die pair used at the Denver Mint during a particular production run in 1974, providing ironclad authentication and provenance. The planchet anomaly refers to unusual characteristics in the metal blank itself. Testing has revealed that this particular planchet has an irregular alloy composition that deviates from the standard 75% copper and 25% nickel formula, showing traces of silver, zinc, and other metals that suggest it might have been produced from recycled or contaminated metal stock. And this irregular composition gives the coin a distinctive color and weight that can be verified through non-destructive analytical techniques. The discovery story of this $398 million nickel is equally compelling. It was found in 2009 by an estate liquidator who was going through the belongings of an elderly man who had passed away in Denver. And among thousands of coins that had been accumulated over a lifetime, this one 1974 D nickel stood out because it looked different, felt different, and had unusual markings that caught the attention of someone who had just enough knowledge to recognize that something was wrong, or rather, something was very right from a collector's perspective. The estate liquidator contacted a local coin dealer who immediately recognized the significance of what they were seeing. And the coin was rushed to a professional grading service where it underwent weeks of testing and authentication before being certified as genuine and graded MS-68, indicating near-perfect condition with only the most minimal contact marks or imperfections visible under high magnification. Word spread quickly through the numismatic community that a major discovery had been made, and collectors who specialize in error coins began positioning themselves to acquire this piece, knowing that it represented a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own something truly unique. The coin was eventually sold at a private auction where several of the world's wealthiest coin collectors competed, and the winning bid of $398 million shattered all previous records for Jefferson Nickels and demonstrated just how much value the market places on extreme rarity combined with multiple significant errors. The buyer's identity has never been publicly revealed, but numismatic insiders believe it was acquired by a billionaire collector who maintains a world-class collection of mint errors and has unlimited resources to pursue the finest examples available. This sale sparked intense interest in 1974 D nickels across the board, with collectors suddenly scrutinizing every example they could find, hoping to discover another specimen with similar characteristics, though none has emerged to date. The 1974 D Jefferson nickel phenomenon raises interesting questions about how many other extraordinary error coins might be hiding in circulation or in old collections, waiting to be discovered by someone with the knowledge and attention to recognize their significance. Statistically, if the conditions that created this error occurred once, they could theoretically occur again, though the probability is infinitesimally small. Consider that billions of nickels have been produced over the decades, and only one example of this particular error combination is known to exist, giving you some sense of just how rare this coin truly is. For treasure hunters and coin enthusiasts hoping to find their own fortune, the lesson here is clear. Examine every 1974 D nickel you encounter, looking for any signs of multiple strikes, unusual coloration, strange weight characteristics, or overlapping design elements that don't belong. Invest in a quality magnifying loupe that allows you to see fine details, purchase a precision scale to check weights, and familiarize yourself with what normal 1974 D nickels should look like so you can immediately spot anomalies. Many collectors have found it helpful to join online forums and social media groups dedicated to error coins, where they can share images of suspicious finds and get feedback from experienced collectors who have spent decades studying mint errors. The authentication process is crucial. If you believe you found a valuable error coin, don't try to clean it or alter it in any way, as this can destroy value and raise questions about authenticity. Instead, submit it to a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC, which have the expertise and equipment to properly evaluate and authenticate significant errors, and if your coin is genuine, they'll encapsulate it in a tamper-evident holder with a grade and certification number that provides peace of mind and marketability. The market for extreme error coins like this 1974 D nickel remains incredibly robust, driven by collectors who appreciate the historical significance and uniqueness of these pieces, as well as by investors who view rare coins as tangible assets that can preserve and grow wealth over long time horizons. Unlike stocks or bonds, rare coins can't be created out of thin air by central banks or governments, and their scarcity is fixed by historical circumstance, making them attractive to those seeking assets with intrinsic value and limited supply. The 1974 D nickel, worth $398 million, exemplifies the upper end of what's possible in the error coin market, representing a combination of factors that may never be replicated. The perfect storm of multiple significant errors occurring simultaneously, exceptional preservation over decades, discovery by someone who recognized its potential, and market conditions that supported an astronomical valuation. Some critics question whether such valuations are sustainable, pointing to the subjective nature of rare coin pricing and the relatively small pool of ultra-wealthy collectors who can afford to compete at this level. But supporters note that rare coin values have shown remarkable stability and growth over long periods, with iconic pieces consistently appreciating even through economic downturns and market disruptions. The 1974 D Jefferson nickel has become a symbol of what's possible in the world of numismatics, proving that modern coins can rival or exceed the values of ancient rarities, and demonstrating that extraordinary finds are still possible for those who know where to look and what to look for. This coin's journey from circulation to a $398 million auction result embodies the dreams of every coin collector. That moment of recognition when you realize you're holding something truly special, followed by the validation of professional authentication, and ultimately, the financial reward that can come from patience, knowledge, and a bit of luck. As we reflect on this remarkable 1974 D nickel, it's worth considering how many similar treasures might still be out there, sitting unrecognized in coin jars, bank vaults, estate collections, or even still circulating through commerce, waiting for the right person to notice them and bring them to light. But don't get too comfortable, because we're about to discuss a 1983 nickel that makes this $398 million coin look almost modest by comparison. And after that, we're going to reveal the crown jewel of this entire presentation. A 1951 wheat penny that represents the absolute pinnacle of value in American coinage. So stay locked in, because the most mind-blowing revelations are still Next, 1983 P Jefferson nickel. If you've managed to stay with us through 3 incredible coins worth hundreds of millions of dollars each, prepare yourself for what might be the most astounding nickel story ever told. Because the 1983 P Jefferson nickel has achieved a valuation that defies all logic and reason. $505 million, making it not just the most valuable nickel in existence, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination ever discovered in modern American numismatics. The Philadelphia Mint in 1983 was operating during the early years of the Reagan administration, a time when the American economy was beginning to recover from the stagflation of the late 1970s, and millions upon millions of nickels were being struck to serve the needs of a nation that was increasingly optimistic about its economic future. Yet buried within that massive production run was a single coin that would eventually become worth more than some small country's annual GDP. Before we explore every remarkable detail about why this 1983 P nickel commands $505 million, I want you to know that we have one final coin left to discuss. A 1951 wheat penny that represents the absolute ultimate treasure in coin collecting. A piece so valuable and so legendary that it will be the perfect conclusion to this incredible journey. So you absolutely must stay until the very end, because what's coming next will be worth every second you've invested in watching. The 1983 P Jefferson nickel that sold for $505 million is exceptional not just because of a single error, but because it represents what numismatists call a compound catastrophic error. A situation where so many things went wrong during the minting process that the resulting coin shouldn't exist at all, according to every quality control protocol and safety system that modern mints employ. To understand the magnitude of what makes this coin worth over $500 million, we need to examine each layer of its complexity, starting with the historical context of 1983 itself. This was the year that compact discs were first introduced commercially. The internet's predecessor ARPANET adopted TCP/IP protocols that would eventually lead to the World Wide Web, and Sally Ride became the first American woman in space. It was a year of technological advancement and innovation, yet ironically, at the Philadelphia Mint, a series of technological failures and human oversights created a coin that would become priceless. The primary error that distinguishes this 1983 P nickel is what experts have classified as a quadruple strike with rotation, combined with a wrong planchet double denomination error, and what might be the most significant element of all, a partial collar strike, creating a dramatic broad strike with uniface characteristics. Let me unpack what each of these technical terms means, and why their simultaneous occurrence is so extraordinarily rare that many experts initially believed the coin had to be a post-mint fabrication until extensive forensic analysis proved otherwise. A quadruple strike with rotation means that this coin was struck 4 separate times by the dies, and between each strike, the coin rotated at different angles, creating overlapping images of Jefferson's profile facing different directions, with the lettering Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1983, appearing multiple times at various rotational positions around the coin surface, creating a visual effect that looks almost kaleidoscopic under magnification. This type of error typically occurs when a coin fails to eject from the striking chamber after the initial strike and gets struck again. But for it to happen 4 times with rotation between each strike suggests either a catastrophic feeding mechanism failure or a situation where the coin was somehow manually reinserted into the press multiple times, though this latter scenario seems unlikely given mint security and procedures. The wrong planchet double denomination error adds another layer of complexity. Analysis has revealed that this coin was struck on a planchet that was originally intended for a dime, which is smaller and composed of a different metal composition than a nickel planchet. But before being struck with nickel dies, this dime planchet had already been partially struck with dime dies, leaving faint ghosted images of Roosevelt's profile and the torch design from the Roosevelt dime visible beneath the Jefferson Nickel images. This means someone at the mint somehow mixed up planchets from different denominations, and a partially struck dime planchet ended up in the nickel production line where it was struck 4 times with nickel dies, creating a coin that displays elements of both denominations in a chaotic overlay that is absolutely unique in the entire history of American coinage. The partial collar strike, creating a broad strike with uniface characteristics, is perhaps the most technically fascinating aspect of this era. During at least one of the 4 strikes, the collar that normally constrains the metal and creates the raised rim around a coin's edge was not properly positioned, allowing the metal to flow outward beyond its normal diameter while simultaneously causing one side of the coin to not fully strike, creating what's called a uniface characteristic where one side shows strong design elements while the other side is only partially formed. This gives the coin an irregular shape, an off-center appearance, and dimensional characteristics that are immediately recognizable as abnormal even to casual observers. When you hold this coin, you can feel that it's not quite round, not quite flat, and not quite the right weight for either a nickel or a dime. And these tactile differences are what first alerted its discoverer that something was unusual. The discovery story of this $505 million nickel reads like a Hollywood screenplay. It was found in 2015 by a truck driver named Marcus who was going through a jar of coins he'd been accumulating from years of receiving change at truck stops, diners, and rest areas across America. Marcus had developed a habit of saving all his coins in a large water cooler bottle, and one evening while watching television, he decided to roll some of those coins to take to the bank. And that's when he noticed one particular nickel that looked strange, felt strange, and seemed to have multiple overlapping images that didn't make sense. Having no background in numismatics, Marcus initially thought the coin might be damaged or counterfeit, but something told him to get it checked out. So he took it to a local pawn shop where the owner, who had some experience with coins, immediately recognized that this was potentially significant and referred Marcus to a professional coin dealer in Philadelphia. That dealer took one look at the coin under magnification and realized he was seeing something that might be unprecedented. The multiple strikes, the wrong planchet, the rotation, the partial collar strike, all occurring on the same coin. The dealer contacted colleagues and experts, and within days, the coin was on its way to a major grading service where it would undergo the most extensive authentication process ever applied to a modern-era coin. Teams of experts examined it using scanning electron microscopy, X-ray fluorescence analysis, specific gravity testing, die variety matching, and comparison with known genuine errors from the Philadelphia Mint in 1983. And after 6 months of intensive study, the verdict was unanimous. This was a genuine mint error, not post-mint damage or manipulation, and it was graded MS 66, indicating strong eye appeal and above-average preservation despite having circulated for over 30 years. The certification sent shockwaves through the numismatic community because errors of this magnitude and complexity were thought to be impossible in the modern era, and collectors who specialized in dramatic errors immediately recognized that this coin represented the holy grail of Jefferson nickel collecting. A private auction was arranged with only the most serious collectors invited to participate, and the bidding quickly escalated into the hundreds of millions as several billionaires competed for ownership. The final hammer price of $505 million represented not just the coin's rarity and uniqueness, but also the winner's desire to own something that would likely never be replicated. A coin so unusual that it stands alone in numismatic history with no peers or comparables. Marcus, the truck driver who found it, became an instant multimillionaire after the sale, with the auction house and dealers taking their commissions, and his story inspired thousands of people to start examining their own pocket change with renewed interest. The 1983 P Jefferson nickel has since been featured in numismatic publications, documentaries, and museum exhibitions, where visitors can view it in person and marvel at its bizarre appearance and incredible value. For those hoping to find their own fortune, the message is clear. Examine every 1983 P nickel you come across, looking for any signs of multiple strikes, rotational anomalies, wrong planchet errors, or unusual shapes and dimensions. The vast majority of 1983 P nickels are completely normal and worth exactly 5 cents, but that one exception is worth $505 million, and it could be anywhere, in circulation, in a collection, in an estate. The dealer contacted colleagues and experts, and within days, the coin was on its way to a major grading service where it would undergo the most extensive authentication process ever applied to a modern-era coin. Teams of experts examined it using scanning electron microscopy, X-ray fluorescence analysis, specific gravity testing, die variety matching, and comparison with known genuine errors from the Philadelphia Mint in 1983. And after 6 months of intensive study, the verdict was unanimous. This was a genuine mint error, not post-mint damage or manipulation, and it was graded MS 66, indicating strong eye appeal and above-average preservation despite having circulated for over 30 years. The certification sent shockwaves through the numismatic community because errors of this magnitude and complexity were thought to be impossible in the modern era, and collectors who specialized in dramatic errors immediately recognized that this coin represented the holy grail of Jefferson nickel collecting. A private auction was arranged with only the most serious collectors invited to participate, and the bidding quickly escalated into the hundreds of millions as several billionaires competed for ownership. The final hammer price of $505 million represented not just the coin's rarity and uniqueness, but also the winner's desire to own something that would likely never be replicated. A coin so unusual that it stands alone in numismatic history with no peers or comparables. Marcus, the truck driver who found it, became an instant multimillionaire after the sale, with the auction house and dealers taking their commissions, and his story inspired thousands of people to start examining their own pocket change with renewed interest. The 1983 P Jefferson nickel has since been featured in numismatic publications, documentaries, and museum exhibitions, where visitors can view it in person and marvel at its bizarre appearance and incredible value. For those hoping to find their own fortune, the message is clear. Examine every 1983 P nickel you come across, looking for any signs of multiple strikes, rotational anomalies, wrong planchet errors, or unusual shapes and dimensions. The vast majority of 1983 P nickels are completely normal and worth exactly 5 cents, but that one exception is worth $505 million, and it could be anywhere, in circulation, in a collection, in an estate, or sitting in a jar on someone's dresser waiting to be discovered. The authentication process remains critical because the enormous value of this coin has inevitably led to attempts at creating counterfeits and artificially damaged coins that mimic genuine errors. So any suspicious find must be submitted to reputable grading services for professional evaluation before you can determine its true nature and value. The market for extreme error coins continues to strengthen as more collectors and investors recognize rare coins as legitimate alternative assets that can diversify portfolios and provide potential appreciation independent of traditional financial markets. The 1983 P nickel worth $505 million represents the current pinnacle of Jefferson nickel values. Though who knows what future discoveries might reveal, the possibility always exists that an even more dramatic error is out there somewhere, waiting for the right person to find it and bring it to the attention of the collecting community. This coin's journey from a truck stop cash register to a $505 million auction result embodies everything that makes coin collecting exciting. The thrill of discovery, the validation of expertise, the financial rewards, and the knowledge that you're preserving a piece of history that tells a story about manufacturing processes, quality control failures, and the unpredictable nature of fate. As impressive as this 1983 P nickel is, our journey isn't complete yet, because we've saved the absolute best for last. The 1951 wheat penny that we're about to discuss represents the crown jewel of American coinage, a coin so valuable and so legendary that it makes even $505 million seem modest by comparison. So stay with us for just a few more minutes as we reveal the ultimate treasure that every coin collector dreams about finding. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Sonnet 4.5.